After a short break due to the holiday weekend last week, we're back with another top 10. Let's take a look at what made the cut. Number 10. Lava Coil from Guilds of Ravnica. Mono Red is still holding its own in Standard. As usual, it's one of the cheapest options to build a competitive deck. The current deck is around $100 right now, so the ease of access to this competitive deck is probably playing a role in keeping this in the top 10. Alongside Mono Red, Lava Coil is seeing play in Phoenix, Jeskai, and Red-Green mid-range decks as well. With Dread Horde deck's ability to gain life so fast, using Lava Coil on Wildgrowth Walker can keep your opponent's life total in check, and prevent Wildgrowth Walker from being reanimated by Command the Dread Horde. With enough pressure on your opponent's life total, exiling Wildgrowth Walker can shut down Command the Dread Horde, especially when you're threatening an instant speed burn spell. Number 9. Obnixilis, the Hate Twisted from War of the Spark. This one I think I'll need your help on. I haven't found a single mention of Obnixilis being played in any format other than Oathbreaker, which I don't think has gotten big enough to influence sales to this degree. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you have the answer. I'm interested to hear the reason because Ob doesn't really stand out much to me. Number 8. Undead Augur from Modern Horizons. Tribal Zombie players were commenting up a storm about this card on Mythic Spoiler when it was previewed. Besides working well with Changelings and Limited, Undead Augur is a powerful 2-mana creature to add to any zombie tribal deck. It allows all your zombies to replace themselves when they go to the graveyard. It's a double-edged sword though, as this effect is not a May ability. It may also be getting a boost in sales from Carrion Feeder being added to Modern from Modern Horizons. Number 7. Overgrown Tomb from Guilds of Ravnica. It's not often that we get a land with no abilities in the top 10. In fact, I believe this is the first one since I've started making these videos. Overgrown Tomb has been a 4-of in one of the best performing decks recently, 4-color Dread Horde. This deck is likely what pushed Overgrown Tomb into the top 10, as we have a few more pieces of the deck coming up in just a minute. Number 6. Nissa, Who Shakes the World from War of the Spark. Nissa has been featured in a lot of standard decks recently. Standard Tron style decks, Blue-Green Ramp, and Bant Aggro are a few of the most successful ones we've seen. In this past weekend's Fandom Legends Standard Tournament, 4 out of the top 8 decks were running playsets of Nissa in the main deck. Each of the decks makes use of Nissa's mana doubling ability for slightly different purposes. Whatever the purpose, you can be sure that if Nissa makes it past your untap step, your opponent is going to be on edge, waiting to see what you're going to do with all that mana. Number 5. Command the Dread Horde from War of the Spark. In the previously mentioned Fandom Legends tournament, Jim Davis piloted a 4-color Dread Horde deck to a first place finish. This version of Dread Horde takes advantage of the Explore mechanic early game, for card selection and to improve your mana base. Late game, these creatures come back with Command the Dread Horde, triggering Wildgrowth Walker, and bringing your life total back into a safe range. This also pumps Wildgrowth Walker with +1/+1 counters, making it a threat that your opponent has to deal with quickly in order to stay in the game. Number 4. Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons from Amonkhet. It seems Hapatra is our only commander-specific card this week. This Amonkhet card had new life breathed into it with the reveal of Yawgmoth, Thran Physician. These two cards combo, allowing you to repeatedly sacrifice snake tokens to put -1/-1 counters on your opponent's creatures, which in turn creates another snake ready to be sacrificed, all while filling your hand with new spells for every -1/-1 counter. Hapatra was one of the weaker options for Golgari commanders, but this new combo has significantly improved the deck. Black-green commander decks have no trouble tutoring for creatures, so putting this combo together should prove quite easy. Number 3. Gnarset Parter of Veils from War of the Spark. At this point, I might as well assume Gnarset is going to be on my list every week. I've lost count of how many times Gnarset's been in the top 10, but it's for good reason. Gnarset keeps proving its worth across all formats with top 10 finishes at every tournament I've seen. Number 2. Interplay Our Beacon from War of the Spark. It's hard to find a deck in Standard that doesn't have a suite of Planeswalkers in it these days. Interplay Our Beacon is pretty much necessary as long as your mana base can support the restrictions that come along with it. Esper Planeswalkers is one of the decks that, while loaded with Planeswalkers, can't afford to play too many restrictive cards like Interplay Our Beacon. An early game Interplay Our Beacon can get in the way of casting Tyrant Scorn and Thought Erasure when you need them. Number 1. Mobilized District from War of the Spark. As far as I've seen, Mobilized District hasn't made any top 8 finishes in any format, so my guess is that Strictly Better MTG's recent Oops All Colorless deck tech may be what's pushing this into the number 1 slot. It's a deck that Dev himself admits is not great. For those who like to travel off the beaten path in Standard, it's a pretty cool deck that lets you play all the new colorless lands and a bunch of Karns. The deck can have a surprising number of creatures on the battlefield at one time. With the number of artifacts you play in this deck, Karn's tokens can be a real threat to your opponent. The impetus of this deck was Dev trying to pull off a combo of Karn the Great Creator, Helm of the Host, and God Pharaoh's Statue. It works occasionally, but isn't reliable enough to base the deck around, so the only copies of Helm of the Host and God Pharaoh's Statue are waiting in the sideboard for Karn to tutor up with its -2 ability. And that's it for this week's Top 10. I'm surprised we didn't get more Modern Horizons pre-sales in the top 10 this week. Pre-release for Modern Horizons is this weekend, so we might see more making into the top 10 next week. And don't forget, if you got an idea as to why Ob Nixilis is number 9 this week, let me know in the comments. Then like and subscribe to keep up with future top 10s.